I gripped my son's hand tighter as we walked through the cold, metallic corridors of the base. His small fingers trembled, pressed into mine, pulling me back even as my own pulse pushed me forward. He stopped abruptly, almost knocking into my chest, and whispered, "Dad, stop. Don't go any further." "What? Why?" My voice was steady, though my stomach had started twisting. He shook his head violently, eyes wide, and pressed his palm over mine. "Dad, Mom's over there, but don't look, please. Something's wrong." I froze. The words were absurd, impossible. She had been deployed overseas for months. Every call, every message, countless promises that she'd be home soon had led to this day. Yet here, in this sterile hallway lined with soldiers, my son's panic felt like an omen. I remembered the small things that had gnawed at me before her deployment. The late-night texts she'd hastily closed when I entered the room, the subtle warmth in her voice when she spoke to someone on the phone I never knew, the lingering scent on her clothes that didn't belong to me at the time. I dismissed it. Distance changes people. Stress breaks bonds. I told myself I was imagining it, but the feeling never left. It had festered quietly, like ice in my veins. Every smile that seemed too practiced, every explanation that felt rehearsed, it had all been preparing me for a truth I refused to see. We walked in silence, each step echoing too loud in the cavernous hall. I told myself it was nerves, excitement even. My son's grip didn't loosen. His tiny body shivered, and a flicker of something, fear, dread, crossed his face. He wasn't lying. And then the thought struck me, cold and unyielding. What if she wasn't the same woman I'd kissed goodbye months ago? What if the homecoming I dreamed about was a lie orchestrated while I slept in ignorance? I wanted to stop, turn around, run away from the gnawing suspicion, from the unspoken truth clawing at the edges of my mind. But part of me, something dark and precise, needed to see, to confirm, to confront. My son tugged me gently toward a group of soldiers lined up near the far end. He refused to meet my eyes. "Dad, I can't show you," he muttered. I inhaled, steadying the storm in my chest. Something was wrong. I didn't know what yet, but I would know soon. And when I did, I would hold nothing back. Not in thought, not in action, not in the cold, meticulous unraveling that I had been silently preparing for months. Every instinct screamed danger, every memory screamed betrayal, and I was about to walk straight into it. I stepped forward, my son's small hand still in mine, but I no longer needed him to guide me. My eyes found her instantly. She was smiling, too perfectly, too comfortably, and she wasn't alone. A man stood beside her, subtle enough that a casual glance might dismiss him, but my instincts, honed by months of suspicion, recognized the weight in the space between them, the warmth she radiated toward him, the way her fingers brushed his arm, slow, deliberate. My son pressed against me, shaking. "Dad, I tried to warn you." I didn't speak. I couldn't. Words would have ruined the precision of what was unfolding. Instead, I observed. Every gesture, every micro-expression, every stolen glance, they all screamed the truth I had feared, but never fully allowed myself to admit. She had built a life in secret, even while I had been counting days until her return. I felt a surge, not of anger, not of despair, but of cold clarity. Months of doubt, sleepless nights, and quiet observation had led me here. I knew everything. Every message I hadn't been meant to see, every call that ended too quickly, every lie she'd wrapped in love and deployment stories. I stepped closer, my son instinctively moving behind me. She noticed, finally, my presence, and for the first time, her smile faltered. "Hi," I said, softly. Just a word, but it carried the weight of all I had uncovered. Her eyes widened. What? What are you doing here?" I didn't answer immediately. I let the silence stretch, heavy and deliberate. Then I pulled a small envelope from my pocket, the results of a DNA test, a collection of messages she thought she had hidden. I placed it on a nearby table, sliding it toward her without a word. Her fingers trembled as she reached for it. The color drained from her face. The man beside her stiffened, realizing the game had shifted. I watched her unravel, not violently, not loudly, but the calm, precise devastation on her face, the silent admission of guilt, the recognition that her carefully constructed facade had crumbled was more powerful than any outburst. I turned to my son. He looked up at me, relief mixed with lingering fear. I nodded once, small, firm. Then I walked away slowly, deliberately. No words, no explanations, no reconciliation. Just the quiet knowledge that the truth had been exposed, that the betrayal had been met with control, not chaos. Outside, the wind hit my face. My son's hand in mine was steady now. The weight on my chest had lifted, not with relief, but with clarity. I would never be deceived again, and she would carry the memory of my calm forever.